Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Fingtam Languages. Today, we're going to talk about a language learning program that I honestly find to be one of the most useful programs that I've used. It revolutionized my language learning, and that is the Pimsleur method. The Pimsleur, I don't know what you call it. It's a product that I don't get paid to promote, but I do promote it anyways, just because I believe in it, and I believe it will help you guys. It has helped me in the past. It is one of the methods that I think has helped my pronunciation the most, specifically in French. And yeah, well, French is the one that I've used it in the most. I've tried a few different other languages before, and we'll see today I'm going to try another language with this method. Specifically in French, I remember talking to a French instructor at my university about 6-7 months ago. I was in conversation with some French speakers, and the native speaker, who is an instructor at my school, told me that I could pass as a Frenchman based off of my accent in French. And I'm sure he was I'm sure he was just being kind. He was exaggerating, but he specifically said this to me and not to the other people in my class. So I took that as a huge compliment. And I chalk it up mainly to listening to Pimsleur while in the car and speaking out loud. Sorry, my shirt kind of unbuttoned. Speaking out loud, practicing with my Pimsleur CDs in the car that were actually extremely cheap, very affordable, and we'll talk about that more later today. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you exactly how I use the Pimsleur method. Because there are right and wrong ways of doing it, more effective, less effective. I don't want you to buy a Pimsleur CD or MP3s, which, now you can just do everything on streaming. I tend to do CDs because I'm old school. Anyways, I don't want you to purchase the product and then use it in the wrong way and not get the most out of it. So we're going to talk about the most effective ways that you can use this product to improve specifically your pronunciation, but it's also very good for helping with grammar, memorizing phrases, and the chunking technique that I've talked about in other videos. So what we're going to do today is I'm literally just going to play one Pimsleur audio portion. Each lesson is 30 minutes long, approximately, and I just find it to be really nice for getting in the car and commuting to school, because I have a long commute, and something that I can do every day while in the car, and it's easy. It doesn't use any extra time, and so I'm going to play one method for you guys today, one lesson for you guys today. And hello everyone. Hey, thanks for commenting. He says, hey, awesome channel. Please Cat says thanks. Anyways, today I'm going to go on to the Pimsleur website, and I'm going to use one of their free beginner lessons. It's always just the first lesson in the course for each language that they offer for free, and anyone can do this. It's not just people who have language learning channels. All right, and I decided that the language that I'm going to practice today is Korean, because I don't have a particularly strong interest in learning Korean, but I do find it to be an interesting language, and I know nothing about Korean. Actually, I think I know one word in Korean, and that's angyang, or something along those lines. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I learned it from, was it Parks and Rec? Or some TV show. No, it wasn't Parks and Rec. It was, what's the name of that show? One of the characters' name was Angyang. Arrested Development. So I know one word in Korean as of right now, and so I thought this would be the perfect kind of example experiment for me to go on to their website and try to see how much Korean I can learn during the half-hour lesson. And of course, while we go through it, I'm going to be talking about exactly the right ways to use this Pimsleur method. So if you're interested in doing the same thing, using the Pimsleur method for whatever language you're learning, and they have a ton of languages, before you even commit to buying the product, you can go on Pimsleur.com and get a free sample of one lesson, which I would recommend doing before making a financial decision to buy it. Hello, everyone that's joining. Rasmus, Gustavo. Do you mean any? Anyang. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Anyang is some Korean word. All right. So I'm already on Pimsleur.com. You just have to put in your name and email to get a free sample of the first lesson. You don't have to sign up or anything. You just, for whatever reason, they want you to put in your name. So I'm gonna put in this. I'm gonna click this Korean lesson 1, and we're just gonna talk about how it's useful. Also, for the record, I'm not entirely sure how legal this is because I don't own the rights to the Pimsleur audio that I'm gonna be playing for you right now. But they have it for free on their website that anyone can go listen to. So I don't think it should be a big deal. And not only that, but I'm also, it's a commentary on the Pimsleur product. I'm essentially reviewing it right here. So I'm not, I don't know what you'd say. I'm not claiming that this is my own material. I'm just offering a review or a commentary on the product itself. So let's get this started. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio well.
The language lesson you're about to do has the power to change your life. You've always wanted to learn a new language. Now you can learn to speak and understand confidently, and in a way that fits easily into your busy schedule. Pimsleur can turn a small effort on your part into a lifelong accomplishment. To make the most of your sample lesson, allow yourself a full 30 minutes to work all the way through, and anticipate and speak the answers aloud when prompted by the tutor. That's it. Just remember to speak aloud. Yeah. Who knew learning a new language?
Okay. And really quick, before I go any further, they do really stress speaking aloud when you're listening to their product, and that really is essential, especially if you're trying to hone in on your pronunciation. Beginning is a commercial. Yeah. I think this is just in the first lesson, but they don't do this on every lesson. But anyways, want to emphasize the point that speaking out loud is essential. You can't just listen to the CD and learn the language. You need to work on that muscle memory of your tongue, your throat, your mouth, your soft palate and everything, your velum. You just really got to work on actually making the movements if you're really serious about increasing your pronunciation. All right, so let's get back to this beginning.
Could be so easy. I'll be back when the lesson is over to tell you more about it. And be sure to check your email for a special offer to get you started. For now.
Also, I don't know if I'm going to actually go through the whole 30-minute lesson. We'll see. I'm essentially going to comment on how I think it is the whole way through, and then afterwards, I'll take questions and stuff and do some more discussion about the product itself. So maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so of actually listening to the CD and actually working with it, and then we'll do more discussion afterwards.
Relax and enjoy your sample lesson.
This is Unit 1 of Pimsleur's Korean. Listen to this Korean conversation.
실례지만 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
아니요, 못해요. 한국어를 하실 수 있습니까?
네, 조금 할 수 있습니다.
미국에서 오셨어요?
네, 미국에서 왔습니다.
Okay. So, one thing I want to point out about this, you listen to this conversation at the very beginning, and it's funny how when you listen to a language that you don't know, it doesn't sound like a language, right? It sounds like people just speaking gibberish. It doesn't even sound like it could be a language, right? When I listen to them saying this, it doesn't even sound like they're articulating, right? but it's because I'm not familiar with the language, and I'm not specifically because I'm not familiar with the sounds in the language. Okay, so English uses a very small subset of the sounds that humans are able to produce with their mouths. Okay, and this is really important to grasp for language learning, because other languages use sounds that we're not familiar with, and because we're not familiar with those sounds, they don't really sound like a language to us. And it's really key to grasp that you can't just use the sounds that you're familiar with in English. For example, I'm going to use French as an example because that's what I'm familiar with. There's no sound in French. Okay, the R sound is all right, and you can't just relate those two sounds to each other, because then you're going to sound like a total foreigner. You have to listen to precisely what the native speakers are doing and try to emulate that as closely as possible. Of course, at the beginning, it's extremely difficult. You're not really going to be able to do it accurately, but the key is to try to get as close as possible to the actual sounds they're creating. Don't just try to, don't put it through the filter of your English language phonology.
In the next few minutes, learn not only to understand this conversation, but to take part in it yourself. Imagine an American man sitting next to a Korean woman. He wants to begin a conversation, so he says, "Excuse me."
실례지만
The Korean speaker is going to repeat this word part by part, starting from the end. You are to repeat each part after him, trying to make your pronunciation sound exactly like his. Be sure you repeat aloud.
만,
Man,
지만,
jiman,
지만,
jiman.
실례,
Okay, there's a perfect example. All right, I'm going to try to rewind it just a little bit so you can listen to that again.
지만,
The
Go too
Korean
far.
speaker is going to repeat this word part by part.
All right,
Starting from the
little
end.
back. I went back a
You
little
are
too
to
far.
repeat each part
That's
after
okay.
him, trying to make your pronunciation sound exactly like his. Be sure you repeat aloud.
만,
Okay, man,
지만,
jiman,
지만,
jiman. They play it a few times to make sure you're getting as close as possible to the way the speaker is actually pronouncing it.
실례,
Okay, there, that word. That doesn't sound anything like an English word. Okay, the first one, man, that kind of sounds like it could be an English word. That not precisely, but it's close enough. Right? We have the word man in English, or Pokemon. Right? Now the word, I don't know exactly how I did it, but the word shule or something like that. That doesn't sound like English, right? We don't have a vowel in English that's like or whatever you did. Okay, you're gonna have to learn to get comfortable with making sounds that you're not used to making. All right, and this is gonna sound silly. A lot of times it's gonna sound like gibberish, but that's part of learning to pronounce a language in the way that native speakers pronounce it.
실례,
Shule,
실례지만,
shulejman,
실례지만,
shulejman. Okay, see, I know I'm not getting it exactly the way that he's pronouncing it, but at least I'm not passing it through my English filter and saying shalezaman or something like that, right? You try to pronounce the vowels and the strange consonants that you're not used to as close as you can. And you just get better with time.
How do you say "excuse me" in Korean?
Shulejman,
실례지만,
shulejman.
Now he wants to ask her if she can speak English.
By the way, if anyone is watching this and you do speak Korean, I would love some feedback as to what I'm doing wrong. Am I messing up one of my consonants, one of my vowels or something? How close am I, even as a completely naive English speaker that knows nothing about Korean? That's the great thing about live streams. I can get live feedback.
First word English. Listen and repeat.
영어를,
영어를,
le,
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 영어,
영어, 어,
영,
영,
영어,
영어,
영어를,
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 How do you say English?
영어, 영어를,
영어를,
영어를.
Always repeat the correct response aloud, trying to make your pronunciation sound like the speaker's.
Hmm.
Now repeat after him again.
영어를,
영어를,
를,
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 영어를,
영어를.
Now say, excuse me.
상엄,
실례지만,
실례지만.
Say again, English.
영어를,
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 영어를.
Now here's the word speak. Listen and repeat.
하,
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 하.
Say speak.
All right. So it sounds to me, I'm going to go back a little bit. It sounds to me like he's not actually pronouncing an H sound like we have in English. In English, we would say ha. He has a little bit of a stronger, more fricative H sound, right? If you hear that, it sounds more like ha, or I don't know how to do it exactly, but just listen again. Listen carefully.
Me.
실례지만,
Okay, I went back too far again. It's hard to get
Say
real
again.
accurate.
English.
영어를,
영어를,
영어를. Should be coming up to
영어를,
the top part again here in a minute.
Now here's the word speak. Listen and repeat.
하,
Ah, I don't know. There's something about that H sound that doesn't sound precisely like an English H sound. If someone in the comments knows a little bit about phonology, maybe you can chime in on this as well.
하,
Ha! It's like there's a little bit more of a lead up, and that's the kind of stuff that you have to pay attention to. And Pimsleur is great for this because they give you very isolated utterances, and they're native speakers, and they're speaking very clearly. So I find that to be very helpful for learning to pronounce exactly what they're pronouncing.
Say speak.
Ha,
하,
ha.
Now here's the part that means can you? Listen.
쉴 수 있습니까? 쉴 수 있습니까?
쉴 수 있습니까?
Now repeat after the speaker, part by part.
까,
가,
니,
니,
니까,
니가,
씀,
쓴,
습니까?
씁니까, 씁니까,
습니까?
씁니까,
이,
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 E. All right, there's a lot of stuff in there that's foreign to native English speakers. Okay, first of all, one of the things that I noticed is that his K or his G sound, I'm not entirely sure, doesn't sound like our K sounds in English, right? That one of those words in there was ka, all right? That's how an English speaker would pronounce it, ka. You can put your hand in front of your mouth and feel that puff of air coming out on the K. Ka, right? And I don't know anything about the phonology of English, but when I heard him pronounce that word, I didn't hear him pronounce an English K. It's a different K, okay? Very similar to the K sound that they have in Spanish. So it's not ka. It sounded much more, to me, it sounded like ga, ga, something like that, okay? And these are little things that you don't pick up if you're not paying close attention and you just think, oh, well, Korean has the same sounds as English, so I can pronounce these things in a way that makes sense to me. No, it's not going to make sense to you. These are not, there's not a one-to-one correlation between the sound in English and the sounds of Korean, right? You're going to do things that make you sound goofy, and you're going to exercise your tongues in ways that, okay, sorry, I have to stop now because I said your tongues. You have to exercise your tongue in ways that you're not used to doing, okay? So you're not. So it's just so natural for us to say ka, Korean, right? But and when you're speaking Korean, I don't. You know, I'm not. like I said, I'm not an expert on Korean phonology. But what I heard him say there was not ka. It was like ga or something along those lines. Let me see if I can just rewind it just a tiny, tiny bit without going back too far.
Snika.
Sneaka.
E.
E. There's another thing. There's a vowel. A vowel we don't have in English. He didn't say E, right? He didn't say E. He said, it was like E, E. And it's not E. It's not E. Maybe somewhere in the middle, somewhere around that part of your mouth. E, E, E. It's not normal to us English speakers.
있습니까? 수.
있으니까, 수
있습니까?
있으니까.
실수.
Okay, please Camp says. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna repeat what he says, but that's funny. I'll show it. All right, we'll keep going.
실수이.
실수
실수 있습니까?
있으니까.
실수 있습니까?
실수 있으니까.
Ask again. Can you?
실수 있으니까.
실수 있습니까?
실수 있으니까.
실수 있습니까?
실수 있으니까.
Now say, speak.
하.
하. All right, right. 실수 있으니까 and 하.
To ask, can you speak? You say, speak, can. Try it.
하. 실수 있으니까.
하실 수 있습니까?
실수 있으니까.
실수 있습니까?
실수 있으니까.
하.
하.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까.
In Korean, I and you are usually understood.
하실 수 있으니까. Something like that.
Ask again. Can you speak?
Sorry.
하실 수 있습니까?
I'm paying attention. I'm trying to pay attention to the comments while I'm practicing Korean. All right. Someone here is trying to explain to me how to pronounce this. Shi sui sumnika. Yeah. This is actually, okay, another pause. This is another thing that I really like about Pimsleur. You're not reading anything, okay? Because when you read something on a page, you look at the letters and then you just assume that you have to pronounce these things in the same way that these letters are pronounced in English. And this is false. That's a lie from the devil, okay? Letters do not translate no matter what language you're learning, all right? So a lot of times learning to read a language will severely hinder your ability to pronounce the language. Now, I'm not saying don't learn to read. It depends on your it depends on your goals for what you want to do and how far. Obviously, at some point, if you want to be a competent speaker of the language, you're going to want to learn how to read. But at the very beginning, there is something to be said for just listening to just pure audio, right? Because then you have nothing getting in the way of learning the pure pronunciation. Okay, when I look at someone write shilsum, that doesn't sound like shisunika, right? It sounds like shil su sum nika. Okay, let's get back to the video again.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까.
Say, excuse me.
How do you say that again?
실례지만.
Schlesman.
Ask again. Can you speak?
하실 수 있으니까.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까.
Do you remember how to say English?
영어를.
영어를. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
Try to ask, can you speak English? Literally, English speak can.
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
Whew! That's a mouthful. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까? Can you speak English? That's 5 syllables in English. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까? It's, I don't know if I said that right. That's like 9 or 10 syllables in Korean. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까? 가
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
Did your pronunciation match the speaker's? Ask again. Can you speak English?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까? So in real time, it'd be like, 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까? And also, you want to try to match their tone, their intonation as well. I don't think Korean is a tone language, but sometimes that stuff plays a part, you know? So you even want to try to match their actual pitch and just their tone of voice and everything that you can do to sound exactly like them. You don't just want to match the vowel sounds and the consonant sounds, okay? You want to make everything you do sound precisely as close as you can to the way that the native speaker is speaking.
The woman answers, no. Listen and repeat.
아니요.
안녕. Ooh, that sounds a lot like hi.
요.
Yo.
아니.
아니.
아니요.
아니야.
How do you say no?
아니야.
아니요.
아니요. 아니요.
아니요.
아니요.
How would you ask the woman if she can speak?
아니, 하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있습니까? I can't. That last vowel is tricky because it's not and it's not and it's not It's somewhere in there, somewhere in that region, with your tongue in the lower back portion of the mouth, but I can't place it exactly. It's like 하실 수 있습니까?
Ask the woman, can you speak English?
하실 수 있습니까? No. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까? 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
Ooh, there's also some other stuff in there that I didn't notice earlier. 영어를 something? Was there an R sound in there? 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
How does she answer? No.
안녕.
아니요.
안녕. 안녕.
아니요.
안녕. 안녕.
She asks in turn, can you speak English?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수
영어를. You see how she does that? That's not a vowel we have in English. There's no vowel in English. You got to pay very close attention. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
있습니까?
Oh, wait, let's go back just a tiny bit. I want to listen to that again.
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수. Oh, now it doesn't sound so much like soy. It's like she. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까? I think I'm getting closer. It's not quite there yet. 영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까?
영어를 하실 수 있습니까? 있습니까? 영어를 하실 수
Here's how to say
있습니까?
yes. Listen and repeat.
네.
네. That's funny
네.
that yes in Korean starts with an N. Oh gosh, that's got to be confusing.
네.
네.
Say yes.
네.
네.
The Korean word for yes is literally exactly the same as the Esperanto word for no. 네.
How do you say, excuse me?
실례지만,
실례지만, 실례지만,
실례지만,
실례지만.
Ask her, can you speak?
하실 수 있으니까.
하실 수 있습니까?
하실 수 있으니까. All right. I think I'm gonna end the lesson there. We're at 9 minutes and 14 seconds into the lesson, and that just gives you a pretty good idea of how the Pimsleur method actually works. You're just gonna have to plow through a bunch of this. The first few episodes go kind of slow, as you can tell. Obviously you're brand new to the language. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time learning how to say hello and yes, no, how are you, excuse me, things like that. I've followed Pimsleur French all the way through to the very end, to the last the last lesson that they have. I think they have up to 5 courses, which with 30, is it 30? No, yeah, with 30 lessons each. 5 courses with 30 lessons each. That's 150 lessons, and I followed it through to the very end. It does go a lot faster. So if you're like B2, B1, B2 level, then don't worry. It's not all learning how to say hello and stuff. You got to find the course that's right for you. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna open it up to questions now. Any concerns? I have a lot of experience using Pimsleur French, and I've just kind of dabbled around with a few other ones. Pimsleur Romanian, now Pimsleur Korean. I recently bought Pimsleur German. So yeah, if anyone has questions about that, I am open to talking. I guess I can go through and read some of your comments. I really wasn't paying attention to comments while I was doing the lesson. Okay, let's see. She means smelly feet in Portuguese. Just watch Kim Jong-un videos and repeat after him. Man, I feel like Please Clap, after I shaved the beard, you just have nothing to. You're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for snarky comments. Como você está? Sounds like you said nigga. Okay, we don't have the extra puff of air in Portuguese. Yeah, so specifically about when I was talking about K, it doesn't apply just to K. It applies to K, P, and T for English speakers. And I did a whole video about this. You can go watch it later. There's like 4 things to unlearn about pronunciation or something along those lines. It's very hard for English speakers to learn to not do that puff of air. We call that aspiration. P, t, k. It's very hard for English learners to unlearn how to do that and start pronouncing their what we would call them voiceless stops as b, d, g. Now, notice I'm not saying b, d, g. It's b, d, g. And like you say, Portuguese doesn't have it. It sounds like, just from what I've experienced in this video, it sounds like Korean doesn't use those voiceless stops. And it gets complicated because there are some language that use the aspiration for they do use aspiration for voiceless stops, and they also don't use them at other times. As a matter of fact, English is technically that way. It's just complicated, and you have to learn when and where and how to precisely pronounce those letters, those sounds. All right. We have some conversation about Tagalog. Google linguist pollination. Okay, some say Pimsleur is too slow. I think someone said 300 words by the end of lesson 30. Yeah, it does go slow. I can agree with that. I mean, you heard the first 10 minutes of the first episode, right? It's slow, but you have to, right? Like they don't need an excuse for doing that. If you're brand new to a language, you buy Pimsleur 1, you have to go slow because otherwise it's not going to sink in. You got to keep repeating the same stuff, and they do use spaced repetition. So after a while, you're not just repeating "Hello, how are you?" every 3 minutes. At the beginning, you repeat it they go back and forth, right? How many times in that 10-minute period did you hear them say, all right, now go back and say English again. Now go back and say, excuse me, right? So it goes slow at the beginning. It progressively gets faster. I can't talk a whole lot about the first 30 lessons. I started Pimsleur French by borrowing Pimsleur 2 from the library. So I started with Pimsleur 2, worked my way up to Pimsleur 5, and I can tell you that as you progress, you start learning a lot more vocabulary, a lot more stuff. The pace does pick up a lot faster, okay? 300 words by the end of lesson 30. I don't know if that's true or not. That's the claim. If it is true, it's still not an issue, right? Because you shouldn't be using Pimsleur as your only method for learning a language, okay? There's tons of other free resources that you can use. Duolingo, Memrise. I mean, you know how I feel about Duolingo if you've been watching this for a while, but Duolingo is a good place to start if you're learning a language. Not good for a whole lot after that. Link is a great resource that I've been pushing a lot lately, not because I get paid by them or anything like that. I have no reason to promote them other than just the fact that I believe in them. Okay, and I'm doing the same thing here with Pimsleur. I believe in Pimsleur. Okay, so even if it is true that you only learn 300 words by the end of the first 30 lessons, that's not bad, right? Because to me, Pimsleur is not dedicated to learning vocabulary. The way you should be learning vocabulary at the very beginning is with Memrise or Anki or something like that, in my opinion. So don't discredit them just because it moves slowly. You're getting 100% of the pronunciation practice that you need from the very first episode, right? I keep saying episode. It's not really an episode. It's a lesson, okay? All right. I use Pimsleur for Latin American Spanish. However, I get from the library. Pimsleur is great along with other tools like Link, Italki, Duolingo. Yeah, couldn't agree anymore. I borrowed French 2 and French 3 from the library. So if you can find a library nearby that has it, then I would highly recommend doing that. It's free, just like Duolingo or anything else, if you can get it from the library. If not, you can buy secondhand CDs. Right? Here's my Pimsleur Go German CDs. It's 8 lessons that I got for $12 on eBay. Okay, or $12.50, I believe. I tweeted about it. Someone who follows my tweets can probably corroborate exactly how much I paid for that. I'm not going to go back and look it up right now, but it was cheap. It's cheap. It's not expensive. Okay, and it's just something that you do in the car. Okay, I do it in the car. You could do it. You know, put a CD player in the kitchen for while you're making dinner or something, right? No one follows the tweets. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Okay. Also, the other things that T. Lloyd. By the way, T. Lloyd, thanks for commenting. I'm not sure if we've talked before, but thanks for chiming in. He says, Pimsleur is great along with other tools like Link, Italki, Duolingo. I could not agree more with that comment. No matter how much I love Pimsleur, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you should use only Pimsleur, because if you do that, you're going to struggle and you're probably going to lose motivation because you're not going to learn your language very fast. Along with Duolingo, Italki, and Pimsleur, if you do all 4 of the things, what was the other thing? And Link, if you use all 4 of those methods, you're going to learn your language fast, because those are 4 phenomenal methods. Duolingo, like I said, I have mixed feelings about, but at least at the beginning, Duolingo is great. Italki is huge. I actually don't use Italki. I would, just from what I know about it, I would highly recommend Italki. I use HelloTalk or what's the other one? Tandem, because they're free. Of course, then it's not as high quality because it's free. So if you are willing to spend just a little bit of cash on italki tutors, I would highly recommend it. All right, Rasmus A says, a relatively cheap way to buy Pimsleur is Audible. If one becomes member in Audible, he/she can use the first month for free, and each month you will receive credits. It'll take time. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think back about this. I actually have thought about this before. I don't remember why I didn't do it, but I remember thinking about it. Also, another thing. Here's a quick way to game the game with Audible. All right, you sign up for a free trial of Audible, right? And this doesn't work just with Pimsleur. It works with any audiobook you wanna listen to. You sign up for a free trial with Audible. You get 1 free credit. Okay, I believe that your free credit is good for any audio file you want to get off of Audible. Audible sells audiobooks through Amazon, if you're not aware of that. So you sign up for your free trial, you get 1 free credit for any audio file, no matter the cost. I believe there might be some exceptions, but you get any audio file. So if Pimsleur is on there, then this is phenomenal, right? And then what you do, and I don't know if this is ethical or not, but I do it. After you get your free trial, you get your free credit, you buy your whatever audio file you want to listen to with your free credit. You then you go to cancel your membership. Okay? And when you go to cancel your membership, they're going to say, "No, we're sad to see you go. Please don't go. If you stay, we'll give you a free credit." And so then you click, "Okay, I'll stay, give me my free credit." And then you buy another audiobook for free. And then after you get that audiobook, it's yours forever. So if you don't want to keep your Audible subscription, it's totally fine to go and disable your account again. And you still get to keep the audiobooks. Now, you can't just keep doing this indefinitely because they know people are going to scam them that way. But you can at least get 2 free audiobooks by doing that. And if you have a spouse or someone with a separate credit card, you could potentially create multiple accounts and do this. I'm not really sure if that works. It's probably not ethical unless your spouse also wants to, use the same audiobooks as you. So I don't want to be spouting ways of cheating legitimate businesses out of their money. But I would highly recommend using Audible, especially if Pimsleur's on there. I'm going to go back on and look again because I don't remember. For some reason, I looked into it and I never actually went through with Pimsleur on Audible. Don't remember why. But highly recommend it if it's possible. All right. Relatively cheap way to buy Pimsleur. Yeah, okay, we talked about that. Because they're in groups of 5 lessons, so 6 months for 30 lessons. However, is 14 times 5 is $70. Okay. Yeah, and that's even cheaper because I think if you buy the CDs through Pimsleur, it's like $150 or $160 or something. It's expensive. Rasmus A says $70 versus $600 and then it's legal. Okay. Okay, you should try Speaky. A lot better than italki. I'm not sure is Speaky really a thing? I haven't heard of this. Unless you're just being sassy with me. All right. Make a video about Paul Nation's 4 strands. Haven't tried it. I've heard it. This sounds familiar. I've heard of it. Not really familiar with it. Oh, gosh. Another thing that I wanted to mention early on in the video, completely forgot, is the sequence in which you listen to the Pimsleur lessons. Okay. And this is important because we've already established that Pimsleur moves kind of slow, at least in the early lessons. I listen to every Pimsleur lesson more than once. Okay, and there's multiple ways of doing this. So they recommend listening. I'm trying to remember now, but I think they recommend listening to each audio lesson until you have mastered like 75% of the content in that lesson. Okay, meaning when I was listening to this Pimsleur Korean at lesson 1, I wasn't getting it all right. Remember, if you were here for the beginning of the video, I was making mistakes. I was forgetting how to say words, but I would say I probably got 75% of it right, meaning I could then progress on to the next lesson. If I was just really screwing up everything, then I would feel obliged to listen to that audio again. And when I first started listening to Pimsleur French 2, I had a method for listening to the order in which I would listen to the CDs. Okay, I have a long commute to school. It takes me an hour every day, meaning that I can listen to 2 Pimsleur lessons in that hour, and that's what I would do. Back and forth, I would listen to two Pimsleur methods, meaning, or 2 Pimsleur lessons, meaning 4 lessons for every trip to Milwaukee and back. Hello, I don't know how to pronounce your name because it's looks like Chinese or something, but hello, thanks for commenting. What was I saying? Oh yeah, okay, so I would listen to 4 lessons every time I would go to Milwaukee and back. All right. What I would do is I would listen to whatever episode I was on once. Then after that, no, sorry. Now I got to think back to how I actually did this. I would listen to a given lesson 2 times in a row. Okay, just listen to it once, listen to the exact same one again. Then I would go on to listen to the next episode. Okay, so if I was on lesson 9, I would listen to lesson 9 twice. Then I would go back and listen to lesson 10. Okay, then after listening to lesson 10 once, I would go back again and listen to lesson 9. Okay, so I've listened to lesson 9 3 times, and I've listened to lesson 10 once. All right, then I go back to lesson 10 and listen to that 2 more times. Okay, and then I would progress to lesson 11. So I've now listened to lesson 9 3 times, lesson 10 3 times, and lesson 11 once. Then after listening to lesson 11 once, I go back again to lesson 10. So this is a total of 4 times. And as you progress through the lessons, you actually end up listening to each lesson 4 times. And this is really great for getting just tons of repetition. If you have a ton of time like I did, to just listen over and over and over and over and over. Okay, that's not necessary. You don't have to do that. And as a matter of fact, if you listen to the same lessons too many times, it's not going to be motivating because you're not progressing through the content. You're just getting repetitions of the same stuff, which is great in a sense because you're really drilling that stuff into your head. But you have to balance it. You have to figure out you have to figure out what's right for you. What's going to work for me? Am I demotivating myself by not allowing myself to progress? Or am I rushing too fast and not getting the most out of the material because I'm skimming over it? So these are questions you have to ask yourself. All right, Rasmus A. asks, what do you recommend for improving listening skills? I want to rock my language skills. For that, I found a way to not only practice, but also earn money. That's in a call center. Listening is essential. Yeah, listening is hard, especially in call centers or over the phone or any opportunity where you're listening to someone speak, but you don't see them. Okay. Actually, when they first invented the telephone, people were not entirely sure if this technology would take off and become popular, because being able to see the person you're talking to is just so essential for communication. You know, I'm sure everyone here has heard things like 90% of the information, or I don't say 90%, like 60 to 75% of the information you communicate is through nonverbal cues. You know, physical, facial expressions and motions and gestures and the weird things that I do on this channel because I'm awkward. And that's not entirely true. You know, you can communicate a lot of stuff just with words, okay? But it is important to take into account the context and the physical stuff. The visual stuff is important. So it's difficult. All that to say, it's just difficult to understand what someone's saying if you can't see them. So ways of improving your listening. I'm going to go with Steve Kaufman on this one and Stephen Krashen and say lots of input, lots of listening, and not just listening to a ton of stuff, actively studying audio material, okay? You want to listen to the same stuff over and over, so you start to get the cadence and the repetitions. So don't just find some podcast that releases new material every day, okay? Don't just go on iTunes and subscribe to news in slow Spanish and then just listen to that when it's released every week. You want to find some material that you can study and actively listen to, not just passively, but actively study the audio material and repeatedly listen to it until you get to the point where you basically have it memorized. And while you're doing that, you're going to memorize their cadences, you're going to memorize their slang, you're going to memorize the words that they slur, the syllables that they skip over, okay? If we're in an English class and I teach you to say, I am going to go to the store, and then you listen to an audio file of someone say, I'm going to go to the store, you haven't learned anything, okay? But if we have an audio file where, you know, where you hear me saying over and over and over again, I'm going to go to the store, you're going to start to internalize that cadence. And even if you don't actually actively produce that when you're speaking, you're going to start to recognize it because you've heard it so many times over and over and over. When I first started learning French, I watched, well, I didn't listen to, but I watched a YouTube series. It's not a YouTube series. It was a TV series that I watched on YouTube called Extra in French or Extra en Français, or I don't remember the name. The title of the TV show was Extra, and they release videos in French, Spanish, German, and English. And it's like a sitcom. It's like Friends. It came out right around the same time that Friends was popular, and it's kind of cheesy. You know, it's a language learning TV show, but it's interesting enough to hold your conversation. It is a sitcom. Okay, it's not. You know, it's not Dora the Explorer. It's designed for adults, and it's an interesting enough video story to hold your attention, okay? There's like 10 episodes or 12 episodes or something. And I watched the first episode of this sitcom, I'm not joking you, maybe 50 times, okay? I could pretty much quote word for word what they said in this sitcom. And not only the words that they said, I could match their intonation, okay? And in fact, at the beginning, what I would do when I first started learning French and I first started watching this video, what I would do is I would play a little bit of the movie, the video. In fact, at first I would only watch the first 7 minutes of the video. They break it up into like 3 sections. I would only watch the first 7-minute section, and I would watch that section over and over and over and over. And what I would do is I would play a little bit of the video and then pause it. And then I would repeat exactly what they said with the same intonation, the same prosody as what the speakers in the TV show said. And then I would, play it again and go to the next line until someone else said something. And then I would pause it and repeat that. And then you're getting a lot of practice paying attention closely to the way people are actually pronouncing these words. And not just the words, but importantly, the sentences, okay? Because we pronounce words in sentences differently than we pronounce words by themselves. So going back to the theme of the video, what does this remind you of? Listening to a native speaker speak something, then pausing for a minute, reproducing that yourself with your own tongue and getting the muscle memory, and then going on to the next phrase, listening to the native speaker, and then reproducing that. There's a reason Pimsleur is so effective, right? Because they're getting the way native speakers speak into your head, and importantly, into your tongue. Because you're learning the muscle memory of your tongue, your mouth, your throat, all your articulators that are important for producing speech sounds. They're getting that muscle memory to help you produce this stuff. Okay, I am a bit afraid to apply for the job opportunities in call centers in a foreign language. At least for me, talking on the phone is frightening. Yeah, don't blame you. Speaking on the phone in a foreign language is frightening to everyone. And specifically, call centers have a really bad reputation for people that don't speak the language very well. That's why there's stereotypes about call center people always being from India, right? So all I can do is just implore you to do a lot of input, do a lot of practice, move your tongue a lot. Don't just listen to audio. You got to produce it. Okay. That's where I think I take kind of a center of the line approach between the people that are purely input based and the people that are purely output based. Prosody is extremely important. Yes, I agree. For those of you who don't know what prosody is, prosody is the part of the language that has to deal with how your syllables are, okay? We can talk about phonetics, and we can talk about how you pronounce your consonants and how you pronounce your vowels, okay? That's very important because you don't want to be pronouncing oo when you should be pronouncing e, right? That can throw you off a lot, right? In French, if you say vous instead of vie, that means something completely different. So you want to get your vowels and your consonants right, but it's not just about your vowels and your consonants, okay? In Mandarin Chinese, and I apologize because I'm not a Chinese speaker, if you say ma, it means something different than if you say ma, right? And probably all the Mandarin speakers are laughing at me right now, but these are things you have to take into consideration. In English, if you say, I gave you the money, it means something different than if you say, I gave you the money, okay? Totally different meanings, totally different sentences, same consonants and vowels, right? That's what your prosody is going to be dealing with. And for example, if you say, I saw the dog on the porch, or you could say, I saw the dog on the porch. You didn't see it. Or you could say, I saw the dog on the porch. I didn't see the cat on the porch. You can say, I saw the dog on the porch. I didn't smell him. You can say, I saw the dog on the porch. I didn't see the dog on the patio. You can say, I saw the dog on the porch. Not just any porch, the porch. Or I saw the dog on the porch. No, not just a dog. It was the dog, okay? And where you put the stress in your sentence makes a big difference for what you're, at least for what you're emphasizing. Sometimes it can actually change the meaning of the sentence. Prosody is something important to pay attention to. And again, I'm going to stress this, listening to native speakers and repeating to what they say. Did I say repeating to what they say? Listening to native speakers and repeating what they say is going to be a huge help in starting to internalize the way native speakers speak, okay? Reading isn't going to help you with that, unfortunately. Okay, would you try to repeat shadow-only audio materials that you understand, or would you do that with anything? For example, would you do that with YouTube videos? It's going to be more helpful if you understand what they're saying, right? Comprehensible input is more effective than incomprehensible input. So I don't just watch YouTube videos that I don't understand what they're saying and then just try to reproduce exactly the sounds, okay? I don't think that's entirely effective. It is effective to listen to Pimsleur CDs and try to reproduce their, their speech, because you're gradually learning what you're actually saying, okay? It's not just nonsense syllables. Now, the one kind of exception that I would make to this is I often listen to music in languages where I don't understand what's being said in the music, okay? And when I'm singing along with the music, I try to sing precisely what the artist is singing, all right? And the reason I think this is effective while shadowing the YouTube videos is not effective is because song lyrics are going to stick with you, okay? If it's a song that you enjoy, you keep listening to it even though you don't know what it's saying, you're gradually going to start learning more and more of what the song is saying, okay? It might not all make sense right up front, but if you learn all the lyrics to the song, then as you progress through your language learning, you're constantly, and I mean like every day, especially towards the beginning, you're constantly going to be learning something new in your language and then say, oh, that's why they said that in the song. That's why they said it that way. It makes sense now. And that's a really gratifying feeling. I did a video on this a few weeks back. I had a video about why music is important. All right, what do you think about shadowing? I think I've made my opinion clear. So, video is about an hour long now. I think I'm going to cut it off here. If you guys have any other questions about Pimsleur, please leave comments below. I highly recommend checking it out, especially since you can do so for free. And if you can get the CDs from the library or on eBay or something, then great. If you can do it on Audible, I know they do have these series on Audible. So if that's the route you want to go, I would highly recommend that. Oh, hi, Andy. Sorry I missed you. You can go back and watch the video again if you want. It should be recorded on my channel. That's it. That's all I got to say. All right, I'll talk to you guys later, and peace out.